Hello out there. Oh my God. We're back on the air. YouTube, what's up? Long time no see. Welcome to the very first episode, first lesson of the 88 lessons, a brand new series, a brand new weekly live stream we're going to be doing around this time every Tuesday called 88 lessons. And we're going to do, you guessed it, 88 of them. So, kind of the idea here where this was spawned from is we used to do a daily show called The Daily Bitcoin Journey, and it was on YouTube mostly and a couple other platforms. By the way, this is being broadcast on YouTube, Rumble, and on Nostr, and it's titled Bitcoin Expectations versus Reality. This is lesson number 1. So, Michael Saylor once said that people spend 100,000 hours of their life working. So they should probably invest at least 100 hours in how they store their money, right? Because people go to work every single day, they get a nice paycheck. They have to find a place to store that wealth, that value. Obviously, after you pay your rent, your groceries, your gas, all that kind of stuff, you hopefully have a little bit left over. And that's what you need to worry about storing it. A lot of people outsource it to a financial advisor. A lot of people don't even think about it. A lot of people put it in a checkings account. A lot of people spend it as soon as they get it. And I've been guilty of that myself. I was a CPA for I worked there for 10 years. I was only a CPA for about half that time. But that was kind of my lifestyle. That was my paradigm that I was in. I would go to work, I'd get paid. Anything I had left over, it usually went pretty quickly into beer or a meal out somewhere or a new pair of shoes or some golf balls or something like that. Yeah, there's Arnie boy. And so that's kind of the idea here is I want this series to be, we're going to clip it. I'm going to turn this into a full series for people. And anybody who's serious about Bitcoin and taking their wealth seriously, I want to have 88 different lessons about Bitcoin that they can look at. And I'm hoping each video will be about 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe if it's a longer topic. And you can just say, hey, 100 hours, this is a good starting point to watch all these. You're going to have a pretty good understanding of Bitcoin. And so that's the idea here. And so we're going to start doing this. I know I said I was going to be off of this platform, but I also said that we're going to be doing a weekly show. So it's going to be every Tuesday around this time. I might try it a couple different times in the next couple of weeks. So if you're watching this right now, let me know if this would be a good time for you or if you'd rather have it a little bit later, probably later only, maybe earlier if needed. But I want to get some feedback in terms of the best time to be doing this. So usually my daily show that I do, we did one this morning. They're not on YouTube anymore. They're on Nostr and Rumble. And I'm going to have all these links. I don't want to say it too many times because there's people listening here, we'll just say. So I'm going to put everything that you need to know, everything I talk about during the show in the pinned comments right after the video here. So if you like what you're seeing here, if you want to stop by every morning, it's not going to be 100% Bitcoin focused like these live streams will be, but it's every day. So that's kind of the point. It's repetition, it's accountability, and it's showing up if you really want to put a dent in the world. The world is up for grabs. We should know that. So kind of the format and structure of these 88 lessons is going to be, I'm going to do kind of a presentation about the topic, about the lesson, and then we're going to do the rest of the time spent on Q&A. So it'll be might be a different amount of time every week. I don't know. Some days it might be short. Some days it might go long. I don't want to leave too many comments out to dry there, but we'll see how active the chat is and we'll see what we got going on. So if you do have a question, a topic, anything you want to discuss, you can just put it in the chat, put it in caps if you can, and I can kind of go through them at the end of it. But that's it. We're not going to be talking about any sort of news. We're not going to be covering anything like that. I might bring some stuff from Nostr here once we get kind of into the swing of things here, but it's going to be basically just a quick presentation about a different topic every week, 88 of them. And then we're going to get into just Q&A and start talking about things. So we'll kind of see how things go here. This is the first episode. It's the premiere. So we'll see how things go. But I do want to give a big shout out to everybody who's watching on Rumble today and everybody who's watching over on Nostr. And nothing against YouTube. but that's where we've been doing the daily streams lately. So again, I'm gonna have all the links if you want to show up every morning and watch our. I usually do it for about an hour every morning, but it fluctuates. So, anyways, I see a lot of good looking faces in the chat here, both on YouTube and on Rumble. And so, yeah, just anytime along the way, kind of the point of the Q&A will be to discuss anything that was part of the lesson during the day, or just if you have any other questions specific to your setup, your buying, your selling, your security, anything like that. I really want to make this a place where people can stop by and have some kind of one-on-one time and get to know people in the chat, maybe join the Visionaries community. And that's the whole point. That's the mission here, is to get as many average people into Bitcoin, comfortable, confident in their ability, and state. And we got Michael Saylor talking from somewhere right now. Hold on. There we go. We found the culprit. It was a tab, I guess, a lingering tab that just started playing randomly. So let me bring this up. This is going to be lesson number 1, and it's titled Bitcoin Expectations versus Reality. And so during this series here, during the 88 lessons, I'm not going to get too technical on anything. That's not my strong point. I would say that my strong point in Bitcoin is more vision. It's more like on the philosophy side of things. It's an understanding, trying to help people with their conviction, kind of understand it at the level that you need to, I think. And so these are going to be a bunch of different topics and thought experiments, all related to Bitcoin, but nothing that's going to, put people to sleep. I want them to be fairly engaging. So lesson number 1 is going to be titled Bitcoin Expectations versus Reality. So the first, I would say 8 to 10 episodes, we're going to be talking about kind of the why. Like, why would you own Bitcoin? What's the point of it? And so I thought this was a good place to kick it off today. I'm going to bring this up. It's a spreadsheet, but we're not doing any calculations on it. It's just more for the visual aspect of things here. So here it is. Expectations. This is kind of what the general public thinks about Bitcoin. And, they have very good reason to think that. Bitcoin was released in 2009. And ever since then, there's been a very negative lens on Bitcoin. It seems like it's coming from all angles. And you'll get to a point in Bitcoin, hopefully, where you have an understanding that it's impossible to stop. Nobody can stop Bitcoin because of the decentralization aspect of Bitcoin. Nobody can stop it. And so what they can do is they can throw a bunch of BS at it, a bunch of FUD, as people call it, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. If you hear that, that's what it stands for. But that's what it is. And so most people out there, I'd say like 99% of people, they haven't taken more than 5 or 10 minutes of their life to figure out what Bitcoin is or even try to. They just kind of have all these opinions formed on what they've heard about it. And usually when people are listening to things, it's the news, it's their government, it's whoever controls things up there. You know who I'm talking about. But they don't have the ability to stop Bitcoin. And so what they do is they throw a bunch of BS at it. And so these are a couple things that people think Bitcoin is: a Ponzi scheme, Beanie Babies, tulips, that it's used by criminals, that it's a get rich quick scheme. That's what a lot of people think. They're going to throw $500 into Bitcoin and it's going to turn into $5 million in a month or two from now. Legitimately, that's what people think that Bitcoin is. And I'm, as I go through this whole thing, this whole series here, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that I'm immune to this or that I didn't go through this myself. I didn't really understand Bitcoin for the first year that I was in like the crypto world. And I kind of thought that the whole thing, the one thing about Bitcoin that I've noticed is that every single person who gets to Bitcoin, they get there because they've gone through something difficult in their life. Because somewhere along the lines, they lost trust in the people that we were told to trust growing up. And so when that trust breaks, people start looking for alternatives. And it seems like the harder that they push against people, the quicker the people want to leave. And so the first place that I got to was gold and silver, precious metals. I understood that the government can't print gold, they can't print silver. And this is what people used to use as money to actually store their value. And then I got into the crypto world, and then of course Bitcoin. But I was in it for like the decentralization aspect, and basically a way to circumvent the fiat system that was inevitably, even from my eyes at the time, about to collapse. But a lot of people think it's a get rich quick scheme, and that's kind of what gets them in the doors, like the number go up idea. And then the nice thing about that is there's usually like 5 or 10% of people who stick around after that. So when there's a big run up in Bitcoin, everybody's excited. There's a bunch of FOMO. A lot of people buy Bitcoin. We haven't really been through that this cycle yet, we'll call it. But that's usually what happens. But there's a small percentage of people who actually stick around and say, hey, even though it's gone down a little bit, I'm not selling it. I was told I should hodl this thing. I was told to never sell it. I wonder why that is. And they start going down these roads. And the other thing here is that people think that Bitcoiners are all their dumb buddies from high school. Because, there's people who do YouTube streams that wear hats and hoodies, and they don't have a suit and tie on. And so they think that, these people are not serious. It's my old buddies from high school, stoners, the dummies. But this is the reality of things. It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's actually the best store of value that humanity has ever seen before. And throughout the series, we're going to talk about why that is. It's not a Beanie Babies or a tulip phase or a trend or anything. It's very similar to gold. It's a digital version of gold, and gold's been around for thousands of years. And the reason why gold has been so successful as a store of value is because of the characteristics involved with that. And as we're going to see in this series as we play out here, Bitcoin's very similar to gold in a lot of ways, but it's far superior to gold in almost every aspect. So it's very different than Beanie Babies and tulips and other trends and crazes we've seen in history before. It's very similar to gold, except it's a much better version of gold. It's not used by, it is used by criminals, probably. Silk Road, everybody was buying drugs, weed, mushrooms, worse. That's what it was originally designed for. But it seems to me like criminals, only dumb criminals would use Bitcoin. And the reality is that it's actually used by everybody. There's people in different parts of the world, in sub-Saharan Africa, in the Philippines, in Switzerland, in Canada here. All around the world, people are slowly starting to see what Bitcoin is, and they're starting to use it every single day. I use Bitcoin every day. And it's funny to listen to these pundits on the mainstream network still, saying that, well, Bitcoin's cool, but have you ever bought anything with it? Bitcoin's cool, but does anybody actually use it? And if you start hanging out in different Bitcoin communities and you actually want to take this seriously, if you want to leave the fiat system, you'll see that there's a lot of people who use this asset every single day, including myself. I bought a ton of things online using Bitcoin, and there's reason for that. There's reasons for that on both sides. On the consumer side, it's much better for privacy, even though people think that it's very transparent, and it is, but there's different layers built on Bitcoin that allow you to transact privately. So you don't have to put in your full name, your birth date, your passport. You can buy things by simply scanning a QR code and doing it in a very discreet way. So it's used by everybody for a lot of different things, and we're going to get to those use cases in just a sec here. But it's actually a get rich slow scheme. That's the whole idea here with Bitcoin. And that's what I always tell people when they're first getting into Bitcoin, is that you should go into this mindset that you're going to buy Bitcoin, you're going to send it to your own wallet, and you're going to hold on to that for at least 4 years. And then you can reevaluate. You can say, all right, what has it done for the last 4 years? Am I in tune with it? Am I on the same frequency as the other people who are using Bitcoin? Has it gone down? The cool thing is that if you've actually held on to Bitcoin for at least 4 years at any time during its history, you're in the blocks. You've made a profit, I guess you'd say, in terms of the exchange rates between dollars and Bitcoin. You've been in profit. So you want to take a very long-term approach with Bitcoin. It's not something that you're going to buy and sell in the next 6 months and retire on. I have a theory that if you're watching this now, and it doesn't matter if you have 10 Bitcoin or 0 sats, if you take this seriously, if you continue to add value to the world and whatever that is at your job, with your business, whatever that is, and you have some extra profits every month, and you store that in Bitcoin and you do that for 10 years, you won't have to work anymore. You probably will because that's what we're put on this earth to do is work, but you won't have to. I think that if you can do that, if you can set your mind on doing that for 10 years, you will be able to retire on Bitcoin. I firmly believe that. And the math and the proof of that exists already. If you want to do some calculations on it, you can quite easily. But I really believe that no matter how much Bitcoin you could have zero Bitcoin. But if you get into it, if you take it seriously, if you grow your conviction, your knowledge, and you grow your sats, after 10 years, you're going to be good. So it is a get rich slow scheme. But then at that point, you're hardly going to have to sell any of your Bitcoin to live off of. It's a whole dynamic that we're going to get through in this course. But that's kind of my theme. And I think we should start with that. So it's not just the dumb buddies from high school. It's actually some of the smartest people on the planet. And not only is the capital and the money flowing away from the fiat dollar system, the legacy system, it's not just money flowing out of there. It's actually brain power. It's intelligence. And if you spend any sort of time online or in person with Bitcoiners, you'll see the level of intelligence that they have. And not only just intelligent people, but you have people like Larry Fink there, who's the CEO of the biggest asset manager on the planet. He's been talking about this for a couple of years now. BlackRock has bought almost 1 million Bitcoin in the last couple of years. And so if you want to be rich, you kind of have to do what the rich people are doing. And so it should be, if you have no other reason to own Bitcoin other than because Larry Fink and BlackRock own it, I think that that's a pretty good place to start. But you got Michael Saylor. He's a something engineer. I can't even pronounce the word. That's, he's in a different level than me and probably you. But there's a ton of very smart people, and they can't really come out and say it. But if you look at some interviews of intelligent people on the planet, like Tim Cook, Tim Apple, the CEO of Apple, I think he's been called Tim Apple by certain people. But Elon Musk, all the smartest people on the planet understand that the fiat system is dying and that Bitcoin is the best alternative to it. So let's scroll down here to the use cases of Bitcoin. So buying drugs online is definitely a use case for it. No doubt. I forgot to put that in here. But these ones I'm going to kind of buzz through here. And these are going to be some of the future lessons that we show on Tuesdays here for 88 lessons. But people are using it for their emergency fund. So usually people keep X amount of cash kicking around. The problem with cash, though, and the problem with money in the bank account is that it's losing value every second of every day. And so with an emergency fund, it's usually there for 6 months, a year. If you have it longer than that, that's kind of what it's there for in case you ever need it. Emergencies don't really pop up every month. So it's kind of a long-term hold. And so I think that anybody who's storing any amount of cash right now or like a savings account, it's a no-brainer to get into Bitcoin for the very simple math of a fixed asset versus an asset that gets inflated every day, which is our dollar. Saving for a house, same kind of thing. If you're somebody out there who just, got out of school, you're working a job now, you're looking to buy your first house, put 10K into a bank account for 5 or 10 years and see what that's worth in 5 or 10 years from now. And that's the thing. It's like kids who are between the ages of 18 and 30 right now, they're going to work, they're trying to save, they're adding money to their savings account, they're trying to get a down payment for a house. But by the time that they have their goal, their target for how much they needed for a down payment, the house is doubled in value. And so they have to spend 3 or 4 or 5 more years getting to where they thought they should have been now. So when you're saving in dollars, it is literally a melting ice cube. And so when you compare the dynamics of Bitcoin to something like the dollar that can be printed and is printed every single day, every second of every day, you can see why Bitcoin's a better store of value. Cross-border payments. Man, we're pretty lucky here in North America. I don't know where everybody's watching from today, but we're pretty spoiled in the sense of we have a pretty functional financial system. And if we want to send money to any part of the world, I mean, you can go to a Money Mart, you can use PayPal. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but they have very high fees. And especially if you're in a different country and you want to send money from Canada to India or Canada to the Philippines, like they absolutely gouge people. Money Marts, they charge like 25, 30%. And there's a lot of people who use that every single day here. And so with Bitcoin, you don't need a money mart. You don't need a 30% fee. All you need is a Bitcoin address or a QR code, and you can send somebody value across the world without anybody's permission, without any fees other than the small transaction fee attached to it. But people are using that. And I've actually talked to people recently who started using Bitcoin as a cross-border payment before a store of value, which I thought was really interesting because there are a ton of use cases for Bitcoin besides buying drugs online. E-commerce, big one, especially for businesses. I don't know how many people out there have a business, but if you're selling things online and you're using something like Shopify or Wix or whatever they are, they're taking like 3 or 4% of every transaction just for facilitating that. And Visa, MasterCard, if you get a retail location, there's a lot of transaction fees. And the thing about it is that as the costs of everything go up and profit margins get tighter and tighter, businesses are looking for a way to save any amount of money. And so businesses now are using Bitcoin to accept payment because they don't have to pay any fees with it. And they don't have to pay for the exchange rate. If I wanted to buy something from Iceland, I don't have to convert it to the Iceland dollar. I don't have to check with their bank or my bank. I don't have to pay Visa fee. I can just send somebody peer-to-peer value in seconds. So it's very useful. Getting more later. So this is one I'm going to do a full lesson on, but a couple years ago, I had my birthday and I got a couple $100 worth of fiat. And I could have went and at the time I could have maybe bought a couple cases of golf balls for that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this $300. I'm going to buy Bitcoin with it. I'm going to put it into a designated wallet. And I'm going to wait for the purchasing power for those sats or that Bitcoin to be worth more in the future. And I'm going to get a set of golf clubs. So for anybody who's willing to like delay their gratification a little bit, and I'm close too, $2,000 set of golf clubs. I'm very close to the Bitcoin balance that I need to buy the golf clubs. So if you're willing to just save, and that's what Bitcoin really does, is it teaches you how to save and delay your gratification. But if you're willing to do that, you're going to get more later instead of just spending it as soon as you get it and getting golf balls instead of golf clubs. Insurance funds. This one's a big one. And I want to do a full lesson on this one as well in terms of how many people out there are paying life insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, pet insurance, and all these premiums. And, in order to get anything back from that, you have to either die or you have to have something catastrophic happen. And it's not even that much either. By the time you actually get these payouts from these companies, it's going to be worth nothing or essentially nothing. So you compare that to Bitcoin, where you could put Bitcoin into a wallet. You could sit on that, designate it for whatever you need it for, whether that's your child's university fund or your pet vet bill fund, or just general insurance for yourself for emergencies. Not only do you not have to wait for a disaster to happen, but if that disaster doesn't happen, it still belongs to you. You're in full control of that. And I think we're going to see a really big shift in insurance and funds like this from the fiat system, from the legacy system, into something that just makes a lot more sense. Because when things make more sense, humans usually go towards that. They gravitate towards things that are more logical, that are more efficient. And over time, as more and more people figure out what Bitcoin is, we're going to see more and more of that, which of course is good for Bitcoiners who are here today. Because that's the thing, is like all these different things are being built right now. All these different use cases are being discovered. And as this whole thing plays out, as more and more people catch on to what Bitcoin is, as they start using it for different things, as more and more things are built, what you can be doing is just simply accumulating, converting your dollars into Bitcoin. For when all this plays out, you're going to have a significant amount of economic power behind you because of the decision you made back in 2025. Additional security on debt. Every mortgage in a couple years from now is going to have a Bitcoin component to it, whether you're the one buying the Bitcoin or the bank is the one buying the Bitcoin. But it makes so much more sense to have two pieces of collateral for a debt agreement versus just one, especially since real estate all over the world is grossly overvalued right now. So every mortgage that gets issued and created in the next couple of years is going to have a Bitcoin component to it because it just makes sense. Worldwide economy. People are buying and selling products and services and forming communities and tribes all around the world. And what Bitcoin does is it allows you to hire people or become hired by somebody else without having to go through the traditional fiat rails of sending somebody your bank information, your bank saying, where's this money coming from? Or why are you sending this money to wherever? The point of Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer network, which separates money from state. It gets rid of centralized power. It cuts out the middleman. And so when you don't have a middleman anymore, you can send money anywhere in the world peer-to-peer without anybody's permission, without anybody taking a huge cut of that, without anybody asking questions or you having to wait a week or two for the transaction to settle, or in a lot of cases, months. So with the internet now, everybody's connected. And so what we need is a currency to facilitate that. And that's what Bitcoin is. And micropayments, somebody who's hiring somebody in a different country, they might not be paying them on chain. And that's one thing that we're going to learn here at some point is there is a difference between Bitcoin on chain, like sending Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, or on something like Lightning, like a layer 2 that's built on top of layer 1 network. So on chain is layer 1. It's very similar to like a bank wire where you pay a little bit more, you wait a little bit longer, but it's fully settled. Layer 2 would be something like a Visa, where it's cheaper, it's quicker, but the difference is that Lightning actually settles instantly. If you're a business owner, if you've had payments come in through Visa or MasterCard, it comes off the consumer's credit card, or it gets added to their credit card instantly, but it doesn't show up in your bank account for days, sometimes a week, depending on if there's a holiday or whatever's going on. So with layer 2 or Lightning, it's a lot more private, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot cheaper, and it has instant settlement. So not all Bitcoin is the same, and all of these are going to have different use cases too, which we're going to get into here. But that's lesson 1. Took a little longer than I thought it would. But the first 8 to 10 lessons that we're going to do here are kind of going to be diving a little bit deeper into some of these topics here in terms of like why it makes sense to hold Bitcoin as an emergency fund versus money in the bank. Why it makes sense to accept Bitcoin if you're a business owner, in addition to Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and eventually why you're going to want to exclusively accept Bitcoin. Insurance funds, why it makes sense to buy some Bitcoin and put it in a long-term storage that you can access anytime and that you have full control over, versus outsourcing that to some other company who's, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail with to get any sort of money from them. And it usually comes at the expense of some sort of disaster in your life. So I just kind of wanted to give an overview of what we're going to be talking about here in the first kind of chapter, we'll call it. Maybe this will be turned into a book one day, who knows? But that's lesson 1. So now we're getting into some Q&A. I do have a couple different things here that I'll bring up if we're short on questions and answers and comments, but I'm hoping not to. We're also going to give away a little bit of Bitcoin today at some point in the show. So I don't know how long the show is going to go today. I kind of expected about an hour, but if there's more questions, then we'll keep her going. All right, so let me check on, I forgot to share this stream with Noster. Oh, we got some zaps over there. Look at that. Okay. So I hate to break it to you, YouTube and Rumble, but we're going to start with the Noster chat first, because I encourage every single Bitcoiner out there, if you're watching this, you should be on Noster. You should be on Noster. You're crazy, insane not to be on Noster right now. So we got Matt FRL, who just came out with his own Bitcoin book a couple weeks ago. Matt FRL zapped 369 and said, "Hey YouTube." So Matt says hi YouTube as well. We got Cowbit zapped 21 sats. So I mean that's kind of just goes to show what we're talking about there. We had Matt send 369 sats through this QR code or through Zapstream, and Cowbit zapped 21 sats. And so, you know, when we're talking about e-commerce, when we're talking about cross-border payments, when we're talking about sending and receiving money without anybody else's permission or middleman there, I mean, we're living through it during this episode right now. So let me just bring up the agenda here before I miss anything. Oh, wrong tab. Where are we here? Okay, so I think I missed some here. Look at this. I had to remind myself to read the title. Apparently YouTube likes that when you read the title. So I had to remind myself to read the title, but I did want to give a couple shout outs here. I think I already mentioned Sailor. So the idea with the 88 lessons is going to be something we do every Tuesday going forward. But Gigi's the one who inspired it. I got a book here called, oh, it's back there, 21 Lessons. And this is kind of what this series is based around. I want to go into a couple different directions with it, though. I think there's a lot more to Bitcoin than just 21. I like the number 21, obviously, but I think that there's a lot more that you have to understand if you want to be a serious Bitcoiner. And again, there's a big difference between somebody who simply just owns Bitcoin and somebody who understands Bitcoin. And we're going to see the differences, you know, week in and week out here, I think. And it's important to understand the difference in not only the understanding in the person itself, but like why that affects the value and the price, the exchange rate of Bitcoin. So shout out to Gigi for 21 Lessons. It's a great book on Bitcoin. This is going to be kind of an expansion of that in a way. Jack Mahlers, I love the way he does his weekly streams as well, where he kind of starts with a topic and then gets into Q&A. So this whole thing is kind of inspired by both Gigi and Jack. And then, of course, Sailor. He was the guy who said people work 100,000 hours in their life. The least they could do is spend 100 hours learning what money is and how to protect their money. And so that's what this series is based upon as well. At the end of it, I want to have less than 100 hours for people, but it's going to be a very good reference for anybody who's trying to get a better understanding of what this asset is. Shout out to our sponsors, which is nobody. Not because we don't want sponsors, or not because nobody's looking to sponsor the show. It's because I believe that it's very important to maintain 100% of my voice. I don't want to be influenced by anybody else, regardless of what they're writing on their check. So this whole thing from November of 2023, when we first started the Daily Bitcoin Journey, it has been funded by the community, which is very, very special, in my opinion. I don't know how many other channels do that or have done that before, but it's part of the DNA of this channel. So we don't have any sponsors. We don't have any outside influence. I think that the number one thing in Bitcoin and life overall is integrity. And it's one thing to just talk about it, but I really want to actually walk the walk and demonstrate the fact that everything I say here is coming from me. It's not influenced, or I'm not dancing around certain topics. Whatever comes to my mind, it usually pours out. And when you've done 400 live streams in a couple of years, there's really nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to be fake. And so I think it's important, and that's, I think, why people keep coming back anyway. So one thing you can do, though, if you do want to support the channel, be part of the I call them the angels, because they are. But you can, if you got a Lightning wallet or you got Strike or something that allows for transfers on Lightning, you can send to the Lightning address there, joe@rizful.com, or this QR code here on screen is Arnie's wallet. So the game plan we kind of talked about. We're going to start with a lesson, and then we're going to get into Q&A, and then talk about the visionaries maybe in a little while. But that's our brand new community there. From it's Bitcoiners. It's a Bitcoin focus. It focuses on inner citadel, which is people's mindset, which is most important in the journey. outer citadel, which is your network, your physical location, everything about that. And number 3 is your economic citadel, which is your wealth, your Bitcoin, increasing your wealth and learning how to protect that. So that's what we got going on. Again, I'll have all these links, everything in the pinned comments below. And I'll probably throw some in the live chat kind of as we go along here. So let's get some comments here. Actually, sorry, I missed, didn't get through the full thing on Nostr there. So Cowbid zapped 21 sats. Samantha Nakamoto's over there. Sin Diesel zapped 18. You're missing a 45 there, Sin. Thank you, Sin Diesel, my man. But Jarny zapped 100 sats and said, watching the stream with Nostr app. The Nostr client is getting quite nice. Yeah, I think that's a good place to start, honestly. If you're a Bitcoiner who's been thinking about getting onto Nostr, although I don't know if you can, I don't think they have a website per se. Let me bring this up here. This is a great client. So within Nostr is like a protocol, essentially. It's very similar to like the internet, email, Bitcoin. It's a protocol. It's not a website or an app, but you can download different apps that run on the Nostr protocol. And one of those apps is, or they call them clients, is Nostr. So this is nostr.com. And you can go here and you can download it on your, I think it's only available for iOS, but this is a very good client. I actually use it on my old iPhone because I like it so much. So big shout out to Nostr. So it's Nostur. I should write this down so I don't forget any of these links. But for anybody who's watching later, I'm going to put these links in the pinned comments and maybe show notes, but for sure, pinned comments. Primal's another good one if you use iOS. I use Amethyst myself on Android. But yes, every single Bitcoiner out there should be on Nostr. Okay, so we got, it looks like Sin did actually send 1845, and I missed the 45 there, but it is in the wallet, so it didn't show up on Zapstream. Thank you, Sin. Somebody sent in 200 sats, and they said, where'd that go? They said, killing it, man. School is phenomenal. So if you do want to guarantee that I read your comment or question, a good way to do that is zap on Nostr. So thank you. School is phenomenal. I'm incredibly bullish on School. That's where we have our new Visionaries community. And it is, it's kind of like Patreon on steroids. Patreon's kind of just like a library of videos and content, but School is like a community. Has a very active discussion board in there. And we just launched it. It's actually not even launched yet. We launched it on Friday. But there's already 50 people in there. What else we got here? 1,111. I'm guessing that was from Samantha Nakamoto. Said, never stop learning. And somebody sent in 88 sats and said, liking this series. Great job, Jor. And 1650, I'm guessing that was Mark, 65 sats. Said, great content today, 65 sats. Don't have to guess, I guess. Thank you, Mark. All right, and there's a question here on Nostr. It says, it's from Red Tail Hawk. It says, would you please elaborate on how you envision Bitcoin's incorporation into mortgage structures? Yeah, there's actually a guy by the name of Andrew Hones, and I would encourage you, I don't know why this keeps going blurry on me, sorry. I would encourage you to just go into YouTube and type in Andrew Hones. It's Hohns, Andrew Hones. And basically what they do is they supplement the mortgage with Bitcoin. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what plays out here. I don't know what's going on here. You good, camera? But imagine, because every time you take on debt, for the most part, you have to have collateral. And when you go to get a mortgage, your collateral is your house. And so usually what happens is people go down to the bank, they go there with X amount of money as their down payment, and the bank just applies that to the mortgage. So let's say your down payment is $50,000 on your house. That's what's taken off of the mortgage that you owe. And you're given the rest to buy the house, and the bank owns your house for, half the term. the majority of your house. But imagine if the bank just took that $50,000 instead of just taking it against your mortgage. Imagine if they bought Bitcoin with that. So now the money that you owe to the bank has two components there. It has the house, which is the collateral that's used by everybody now in a mortgage, but you also have $50,000 worth of Bitcoin. And it doesn't take too long to figure out what Bitcoin has done historically and what it, could do in the future. So now instead of just like applying this $50,000 deposit down payment against your house in dollars that the bank literally has the license to print, put it in Bitcoin. And the really cool thing about it is that let's say that I have a mortgage, and I have on that mortgage is my house and a portion of Bitcoin that's held by me and the bank. And if I lose my job or if I have an emergency come up that I need to spend money on and I can't make my mortgage payments for a couple months, guess what? The bank has that collateral that they have access to, which is my Bitcoin. And if I miss a couple payments, they can just sell some of my Bitcoin to make the payment. Like in the way it is now, the bank would essentially have to sell a door off your house or a window off your house to make your mortgage payment. But if you have two pieces of collateral there, one being the house, one being the Bitcoin, if something happens, and think about what that would do to your credit risk overall, because that's what banks do. They value your credit risk. Does it make sense to lend this to this guy? What should the rate be? So all these different things are going to tie into mortgages eventually because it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And even the value of it, right? Like the bank can at any moment look at what it's worth, make sure it's still there. They can both verify and they can look at the accuracy of the amount and see what it's actually worth, the value of it. So it's going to be a very useful piece of collateral. That's why we call it pristine collateral for those reasons. Cowboy says, this is a great concept. Sharing this course with people. I'm trying to orange pill. Thanks for the help. Nice, Cowboy. That's awesome. I'm going to be putting these, I'll probably make a little playlist on the channel just with like the first part of the streams here for people. So they don't have to watch like an hour or an hour and a half of the full live stream. I want to keep them nice and concise. Paulie says, went through the UTXO management tool on school. Very cool. Next, thresholds and privacy during commerce. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Bitcoiner, the cool thing about the Visionaries is if you get a lifetime membership to that, you actually get free access to our Bitcoin Citadel school community. So I really think that school is going to be a very big part of like learning. I think it's going to kind of morph away from Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all these different platforms and go into school because it just makes more sense. There's no ads on there. You can create a free community or a paid community. I think that every person watching this today should have their own school community because it is a very powerful tool for resources and for kind of interacting with people who are on the same frequency as you. So I will just say this one time. If you do want to join the Visionaries community on school that Paulie's talking about here, I'll put links below. You can either pay in dollars or you can buy a lifetime membership in Bitcoin. And regardless of what level you're at in Bitcoin or anything like that, there's going to be something in there for you. And so again, it's the mindset, it's the network, and it's the wealth, the Bitcoin part of it. That's kind of all wrapped up into one here for the Visionaries. And that's kind of what we do every morning on the live streams too, is we kind of have that angle with it as well. Super John zapped 1 sat. Wow. Thank you, Super John. You can tell, man. I just don't, this is why I don't stream every day on YouTube, just because I have almost zero filter, but thank you. Red Tail Hawk says, thank you. Very interesting with Zap, but due to an electrical problem, my node is currently down and I'm too much of a noob to work around it. No problem. Hopefully you'll be back some point. Okay. Well, let's get to some of these friggin' YouTube chats. It looks like we got a lot on here. Paulie says over in Nostra, I actually borrowed from an unsecured line of credit I don't usually use at 8.7% to buy more Bitcoin, being my own sailor. Love that. And actually, Paulie said it was him that sent the 1,111 sats. So I will apologize to Paulie D for that because I gave Samantha the credit. But Samantha is also very generous, so I don't feel too bad about that. Anybody who has their own Zap number does it a lot. Paulie zaps a lot too. He just does different amounts every time, so I never know who's who in the zoo here. Okay, here we go. Let me relax a little bit. So the second half of the show here is always going to be a little bit more laid back. I'll do my best to get through all the comments, but again, if you do want to make sure that we get to your comment or a question or topic, you can send a super chat, you can send a rant on Rumble, or you can send a zap with a message on it. So just based on what I'm seeing here, I'm not going to go through every single comment because we'll be here for like a week. But yeah, Solar says YouTube wants me to verify my ID to pin a comment to my own video. Me and YouTube have been getting along ever since I stopped streaming on YouTube, so I'm not going to say too much. That's a cool logo though, Solar. I like that a lot. Very cool. Ginger, I'll get to like the first couple comments here, and then we'll see if there's questions or any topics. Timber Crasher, what's up, buddy? Canon's got a great, actually both Solar and Canon have recently started YouTube channels, which I love to see. I think every single Bitcoiner, everybody really underestimates how much knowledge they have in their brain and how valuable that knowledge is in the world that we're going into. So I really believe that every single Bitcoiner should, number one, be on Nostr. Number two, have a school community. I'll talk more about that because I think that's a very powerful idea. And I've been kind of sharing it with the Visionaries community already in the 365 course and the Maple Bitcoin as well. But there's something there. And either a school community, YouTube channel, podcast, all three of them ideal, but at least one of those. Every single Bitcoiner should have that. Plastics here. Darwin, hello, welcome, and sorry. I like that one. And says, let's go, Jor. All right, we got Matt FRL here. Love the 8. It's a symbolism for wealth. Nice. Yes, you get it. It's a symbolism for my birthday and my birth year, but also, yes, infinite wealth, infinite abundance. And there's a lot of people who think that I was, I think people were calling me like a Nazi sympathizer because I had 88 in my number. When if they watched 5 minutes of the streams, they would feel otherwise. All right. Sin Diesel, my man. Good to see you. Hey, V. What's up, Jor? What's up, V? Joshua. Josh, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know if you're still watching or not. This comment was a while ago. But I'm going to tell you right now, don't even think about zapping the Bitcoin live stream, the 88 lessons. This Joshua is the most consistent supporter of the 88 Sats radio channel. And Josh, I just want you to show up here on Tuesdays, and I do not want you to zap. I want to tell you that right now. I'm going to be offended if you do. Because you give way more than enough. You pull way too much weight around here. Darwin's having a good time. Oh, okay. It's a good time time-wise. Gotcha. I thought you were having fun. Lyrical Link. Hello, Joss. Jor. Gotcha. He usually defaults to Joe, not Jor, but yeah. Longtail Garzid. God bless Rumble, no doubt. No doubt. Samantha says, sent to Arnie that the 1100 was not me. Oh, okay, I got you. Wow. Somebody sent a big fat zap here to Arnie boy. Arnie, you got some zaps, buddy. You want to come say thanks? Somebody sent in 11,000. 1111. Big one. No message either. God bless whoever sent that. That's the kind of shit that keeps the lights on around here. And it looks like Samantha said that one was not me, but I'll send 111 sats. So thank you, Samantha. Much appreciated. Arnie is cool. He is cool. All right. New tech always get a bad rep. People do not understand. I mean, it's not even that though, Paradigm. It's not even just new technology, but you're right. Like I remember when the iPhone came out. This is a legitimate story. I lived in let's say the city's got about 10,000 people in it. It's like the bare minimum of a city. And I remember I was the first person, well, maybe not the first person, but I may probably with the iPhone. I had the iPhone 3, and I actually had to leave the city that I was in to go to a different phone provider because all the phone providers in my city did not offer the iPhone yet. And it probably took 2 or 3 or more years before people slowly got onto iPhones. And then after that, if you look at like, everybody has an iPhone now. But that's technology, and that's an important thing to understand here is that Bitcoin is not a technology. I mean, it has technology, what would you call it? It improves technology. But it's a protocol, and that's what makes Bitcoin so different. And so when people, you have to just understand here, because I'm sure most people who are watching this show right now, I'm hoping there's a lot of new Bitcoiners that start watching the 88 lesson, the short version of it. But I'm guessing most people watching this right now are Bitcoiners. And, you just have to understand, you have to think about how many hours you spent, not only just in Bitcoin, but like getting to that point where when things started to kind of make sense to you. And think about the fact that 99% of the world has not done 1 hour of that. So think about all the hours you've spent, and then think about 99% of the world who have spent 0 hours, and understand the disconnect there. And so even people when they're referring to Bitcoin as like the tulip mania or beanie babies or a Ponzi scheme, it's because they just don't understand what it is because they've spent zero time learning. And that's what we call them on the channels, 0-hour dipshits. 0-hour dipshits specifically are people who have spent 0 hours learning about Bitcoin, but still feel the need to share their opinion on YouTube comments, on CNBC, on Bloomberg, on random podcasts. Those are 0-hour dipshits. But most people are just 0-hour people. And so that's the huge disconnect there, is that Bitcoin is so unlike everything else for a lot of reasons. A lot of its characteristics are just so foreign to what we're used to. Even like the simplest version of that is that people think that they're late to Bitcoin. People think that because Bitcoin went from $5 to $100,000, that they've somehow missed the boat. And if you look at any other technology or thing that has come before Bitcoin, that would be true. And the reason why that's true is because when that happens, when there's enough demand for a product or a service or a company, if there's enough demand, they meet it with supply. They make enough of it to meet the demand. Anything happens. It happened with iPhones. At the start of it, there was only a certain amount of people who wanted iPhones. Me being the 1 in 10,000 people in my town who wanted it. But then it turned into 500 people, and then to 5,000 people. And then probably 9,000 out of 10,000 people have an iPhone now. And the reason why that happened, and the reason why iPhones aren't worth $50,000 today, is because they just made more iPhones. So Bitcoin is the only asset that no matter how many people want to buy it and store their time and energy in Bitcoin, they can't make more Bitcoin. And so it's not just a technology, it's a whole different paradigm shift here. It's a protocol. And as Jeff Booth says, technologies are winner takes most, and protocols are winner take all. And they're two different things. And that's why there's so many people out there who just simply don't understand Bitcoin, mostly because it's literally a 180 of everything we've ever been taught before. It's really as simple as that. Paradigm says, that's why I bought cryptos with utility and converted to Bitcoin after. Nice. Hey, James Bond here. Good morning. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen Bond in a while. My man. One of the very earliest supporters of the 88 Sats channel. Resonating very much with a high school friend's point. Yeah. I mean, somebody said it on CNBC the other day. It was some arrogant 0-hour dipshit who basically said, and by the way, I keep saying 0-hour dipshit and I apologize for that. The daily streams that I do on the other platforms like Nostr and the green one, it's no holds barred in there. There's no filter. It's F-bombs here, there, probably worse words than that. But on this stream, I'm going to do my best to not drop any F-bombs. They might slip out now and then, but I'm going to do my best not to. And so if you're a parent out there, I really want to make this able to consume. I don't want people to have to listen to this in the dark, in the corner by themselves with headphones. So going forward, I'm going to do my best to not say any F-bombs. I'll probably say dipshit a lot, but is it really a swear? I don't know. So just a heads up for people, anybody out there with kids, I'm going to do my best for these 88 lessons to not drop any F-bombs. We'll see how it goes. The blockchain is transparent. Everyone can see it. That's what I mean. Like only the dumbest criminals would use Bitcoin for their dealings. Sats and sunsets. Good morning or good afternoon. I keep saying good morning because that's when we're used to doing the shows here. All right. At the 1 hour mark, we're going to give away some Bitcoin here. Stay humble, stack sats. I think you mean no more job. Everyone still works. Yes, that's what I mean. And that I think that's what people really want when they first, I mean, that's what everybody wants. Nobody wants money, right? And we really have to understand that fiat dollars have been used as money. Bitcoin is a way better version of money, but money's not what you want. Freedom is what you want. The freedom to wake up at whatever hour you want to, the freedom to not have to answer to a boss throughout the day, the freedom to go for a round of golf if you want to any day of the week, the freedom to put in whatever you want to and get the same amount back. That's the whole cause and effect, the law of the universe. And that's what everybody wants. And that's why Bitcoin is so powerful, because it allows you to store that time and energy that you put into it and tap into it when you need it. So that's going to be kind of one of the underlying principles of this whole series is like, there's this whole narrative that you're never supposed to sell your Bitcoin. That's BS. The point isn't to get as much Bitcoin as you can. The point is to have as much fun as you can. That's what you want. And Bitcoin is the thing that allows you to have more fun. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to delay your gratification for a little while, and it gives you the freedom to not have to worry about what you say online and the banks shut your account down, or not have to worry about making a comment or making a post online and your boss calling you in for a meeting, not having to worry about what this business does that you want to buy from and getting your bank's permission for that. So freedom is what really everybody's chasing. And Bitcoin is the tool that gets you there. Jordan makes me smash by with his articulate words. 6'5" sats and Bob the Corgi. And thanks for the sats there, Mark. Appreciate it, my friend. Darwin, here's a question. Would you consider taking a loan in 96X? Would you consider doing that to buy Bitcoin? What the hell does that mean? What's 96X? Darwin, are you still here? I don't know if he is or not. I don't know if he or she is here yet or not, or still here. He or she, but that's it. I don't know what that means. Can somebody help me out here? What does 96X mean? Would you consider taking a loan in 96X? What could that possibly mean? I would definitely take a loan to buy Bitcoin, though. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. That's essentially what mortgages are. You're taking a loan in a dying currency to buy an appreciating asset. Literally what a mortgage is. Except Bitcoin is more useful than a house. You can live in a house, but for the people who store their value exclusively in a house, that's where they're all going to find Bitcoin is better. Love to purchase a house with Bitcoin. Well, don't do that. Never purchase a house with Bitcoin. Take a loan against your Bitcoin, buy a house, take on cheap debt, because the debt is very low rates and it's illusionary. That's why I have no issues with people taking out loans to buy Bitcoin, because they're trading, they're taking on, they sign an agreement to pay back fake money so that they can buy real money. And by the time they have to pay back that fake money with real money, the real money is probably worth 100x, and they only have to shave off a fraction of their real money to pay off their fake money. Kev, what's good? But what do I know? I'm just a 1,000-hour dipshit. And his dog doesn't even want to listen to him. Arnie boy, you going to show up today, buddy? Everybody's looking for you. I just got to pretend like the show is done, then Arnie will show up instantly. Okay, well, what we're going to do now quickly is we're going to give away some Bitcoin. So I would take a couple seconds here, get your Lightning wallet opened up. There it is right there, Bitcoin Well. Our friends, our good friends at Bitcoin Well, we're going to do a couple tosses here, I think. I'm going to do at least 2. So here's what you got to do. I'm going to probably have to do this every time. But all you do here is you get a Lightning wallet. If you don't have one already, you can download one from the App Store. I suggest Wallet of Satoshi, Rizful, CoinOS. I'm off Speed now. I don't use Speed anymore. But get yourself a Lightning wallet. And basically when you do it, here, let me show you. I'll walk you through the exact steps here, just in case there's some new folks in the chat. By the way, if you're somebody who's unable to support the channel here financially with Bitcoin or super chats or rants, I think the least you could do is, click the like button. Not that I really care too much about that. That's kind of a fiat illusionary thing. But if you have any platforms like, Facebook, Twitter, Nostr, anywhere, just share the stream and let's get more and more people in here. This show is basically for the average person, to help them better their lives. Who wouldn't want that? We're not selling anything. I'm not covering any news. I'm just trying to help people. So if you don't mind, share it across your socials. Let's get this stream. We'll give it about 10 weeks, but I want to have like thousands of people in here at some point. And we can do it, no problem. But I'm going to need your help a little bit there. I'll do my part. You do yours. Okay, so when what you do is you go into your, I don't want to dox my balance here, but basically what you do if you're using Wallet of Satoshi is you'd think that you're going to press receive here because you want to receive some sats. But what you actually do is press send. And then it's going to do, oh, look at that. It'll bring a little QR scanner up there. Look at that nice view out there. Beautiful day today. And then you point it at the QR code, and the first person who scans the QR code is going to get some sats courtesy of the Bitcoin Well. So the reason why I use Bitcoin Well myself, I use them pretty much exclusively for buying Bitcoin here in Canada. They have the best features out of any exchange out there by far. The ones that I like here in Canada are Bitcoin Well, that's my number one, Bull Bitcoin, and ShakePay. But I buy all my Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well because you can do a lot of different things on there. You can buy, sell, you can pay bills, you can actually swap between layer 1 on-chain and Lightning. You can do swaps on there for free, which is very unusual. I've never seen any other company offering free swaps because it adds up. Anytime you want to swap from on-chain to Lightning, you're probably going to be paying 1,000 sats to do it. And if you value sats like me, which is $1 equals 1 sat, that's a lot of money to be paying for a swap. So Bitcoin Well, if you're in Canada, you can do that for free. And my favorite thing though, and the reason why I use Bitcoin Well is because I have a recurring buy. So every week I buy like $25 worth of Bitcoin, and it's just kind of happening behind the scenes. The $25 comes out of my bank account. Bitcoin Well takes it. They buy Bitcoin and they send it to my Lightning wallet. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think about it. And then I check my Lightning wallet every couple months and I transfer that to my cold storage. So that's like one really easy way to stack more sats without even thinking about it. And then, of course, every time I get paid, I do a smash buy on Bitcoin Well. But that's Bitcoin Well is my exchange for that. So you can get a bunch of tosses into 5 tosses, not a bunch, into the wishing well, which we're going to show here in a sec, by using that link, bitcoinwell.com/Jor. So here we go. First person to scan this wins the sats. You ready? Are you ready? All right, here we go. We're going to do 2 of these. Oh, 610 sats. That's a big one. Usually the sats are between 400 to 600. So this is kind of on the higher end. But sometimes you get some big ones. Like about a month ago on the show, maybe it's 2 months ago now, but somebody won 210,000 sats by scanning the QR code on the stream. 210,000 sats. So I'm guessing this was claimed by now. I'll just double check here. Let's do a little double check. Claimed. All right. If you won, feel free to share it in the chat, show off a little, but also feel free to remain anonymous. We are big time privacy advocates here. Toss number 2, 517. Another big one. So congrats to whoever won those. Big shout out to Bitcoin Well. They're not a sponsor of the show. I just use them every single day. I love the platform. I recommend them to all my friends and family. And they give some back to the community. So I have no issues sharing their stuff here because, you know, if you're going to listen to ads, you should be rewarded for it. So here's your chance to win some sats. And that is that. Thank you, Bitcoin Well. You can also use them in the States. I don't know. Actually, somebody in the States, if you don't mind, if you've used Bitcoin Well before in the US, are you able to do swaps on there? Are you able to do free swaps? It's the exact same setup. You can buy it non-custodial. So actually it was Forrest who said this last week, and I really like this, but he said Bitcoin Well's the last exchange that you're going to use. So everybody starts with different ones with different incentives and things, but Bitcoin Well is an exchange for Bitcoiners because they don't hold any Bitcoin. They hold 0 Bitcoin. They don't even let you hold Bitcoin with them. They just send it to you. So you have to have a wallet. You have to have a bit of experience to use them, but Bitcoin Well will be the last exchange you use. All right, let's keep her going here. We're over an hour into it. We'll keep her going. I mean, that was my promise to you when I started, so I don't want to break that. Shani. Look at this. Shani says, what's up, Jordan? Didn't expect a live stream at this time. Nice surprise. And Shani says, just shared your live stream on Nostr. Thank you, my friend. I didn't even share it. My God, I'm asking you guys and girls to share it, and I didn't even share it myself. What a freaking stunned banana. Stunned. I thought I changed the name of it too today. We are live again. Okay, well, now it's on Nostr. All right. What's going on here? Let's get some more comments. Where was I? Okay, we missed that one. VHF. What's up, VHF? VHF's YouTube maximalist. Watching from the 6. Rodriguez, good to see you, man. Instant gratification monkey. Bear bulldog. Here's a question. would you go over borrowing against and how that would work? Let's say someone buys and holds Bitcoin now. How would borrowing against work out in the future? Well, I mean, it's the same as anything, right? If you got a piece of land, just think about it like a farmer does. Here, let me get Bitcoin well off the page here. Get that one up there. Yeah, it's even a nice color. Should I change that? I think I want it to be a little bit darker. Now I don't want to mess with it. Okay, where was I now? Frick. Yeah, think about it like a farmer. And I know there's probably people in different parts of the world. I'm very blessed to live where I live in the prairies here, because every time you drive anywhere, you're driving past canola field or a wheat field or a pasture full of cows and horses. So I'm pretty exposed to it here. But that's how I think people should be thinking about this. With farmers, farmers have a very low time preference, right? Farmers don't go to work 5 a.m. till 10 at night and clock in and clock out. They're not doing it for the paycheck. They're doing it for the long term. They're doing it so that they can, number one, feed their family. Number two, provide food for the world. And number three is for the store of value. They store their value in their buildings, in their machinery, and in their land, and even their animals, I guess, depending on what animals they have. But that's how they store their value, and that's how they think very long term. And it's generational wealth, right? Like farmers, I mean, it's different now. There's a lot of baby boomers who are selling their farm because their kids don't want to run it. But that was kind of the idea there, is you buy this, you'd farm the land, and that's what people are worried about, the value of their land. And it's the same with Bitcoiners too. It's like, when you're thinking in that way, you don't check the price. Like a farmer he's not sitting there, goes out to do his work for the morning, comes back into his house, and he's checking his laptop or his desktop computer, and he's saying, what's my land worth this second? What's the value of my land worth this second? Oh, it's 1% down from yesterday. Shit. I should sell some of it. No, number one, they're not doing that. Number two, what farmers will be looking for with that is their neighboring land up for sale. And if it's for a good price, they know what it's worth already, and they want to buy that. That's how farmers think. And farmers, if they want to get a new truck or they want to pay for their kids to go to university, they don't go and sell a piece of land. They take that land to the bank, or they take the title of the land to the bank and say, I want to borrow against this land. I want to pay for my daughter to go to university. So they don't have to sell the land. They use that as collateral. And then they make the payments based on adding value to the world and paying down their loan. But just like land, it appreciates over time. So their loan to value ratio continues to go down as the value of the asset goes up. This might be the perfect intro to Bitcoin for someone. Well, that's kind of the idea of, like, especially the first, 10 episodes here, or 10 lessons we're going to do, is like the why. Why would the average person want to get Bitcoin? Because it's so much different than what they perceive it as. Sorry, my voice is kind of getting shot here. But anyways, Suzanne says, does anyone know where to buy the ALX 2049 token during the pre-sale? Oh, look at this. We got Matt says, I'll write the book for you. All right. I like that. M. Vincent says, what's your long prediction? Getting a 20% yearly return for the next 20 years, or big jumps and drawdowns like the previous cycles? Man, I don't know. If I knew, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, right? But when you think about it logically, when you just kind of take a step back and, you have Saylor's predictions of 21% for the next 21 years, you hear people saying that that's way too high. Some people like me think that's way too low. But if you look at Bitcoin CAGR, the compound annual growth rate from 2009, or actually taking out the first couple of years, it's been about 50 to 70%. And that's happened with about 1% of the population in Bitcoin. So what happens when everybody else shows up? Because they will. They'll eventually show up here at some point. And there's only so much Bitcoin that's available, so you can't compare it to anything that's happened in the past before. This is a totally new thing. So I would say that that's very bearish personally. 20%, I would be pissed if I held Bitcoin for 20 years and only got 20%. Because at some point we're going to reach fiat's going to reach escape velocity where it's actually losing more than 20% a year. So there's so many dynamics to consider there. I really don't think that the fiat dollar is going to be around for many more years. I think it's going to happen a lot faster than people think. And it's not like we're going to replace the fiat dollar with Bitcoin. Countries are going to actually start backing their currencies with something real, whether that's gold, probably not silver, Bitcoin, something like that. But countries' currency, the countries that want to remain solvent and relevant, they're going to have to back their currencies with something. And so if you compare it to that, maybe 20% in like today's actual purchasing power, that's realistic to me. But like just 20% in compared to fiat dollars, that would be a joke to me. What's your name on Nostr? Sure. Can we pay lifetime in shitcoin? Sure. You can pay whatever you want to. I'll convert it to sats. And that's another good point. I think when people are so worried about they're spending their Bitcoin, it's like, don't think about it like spending Bitcoin. You're just sending somebody else value. It's all you're doing. You could send them value in dollars. You could send them value in shitcoins. You could send them value in Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. Either way, that value is leaving your pockets, your energy reserves. The only thing that matters is how you store that energy. So if somebody's paying you, how are you storing that? Are you storing it in dollars, in shitcoins, in Bitcoin? It doesn't matter how you spend value. It matters how you store value. Very important to understand that. It took me a long time to understand that myself. Visionaries are our baby too. You'll see through proof of work. Amen to that. Hi, I'm Bitamin, who wants to self-custody. How to use Nostr and a good way to stack zaps, please. And want to notice about Bitcoin community. I mean, wants to self-custody, good. Learn how to use Nostr, good. Stack sats. I don't know if anybody stacks zaps. I think I know what you're saying though. But again, I would suggest this is for everybody. This actually want people who aren't even Bitcoiners in this community, because it's not going to be the cool thing about the visionaries is that you're going to have that, but you're also going to have the Bitcoin Citadel community that you get free access to. So for the Bitcoiners, you're going to get access to the visionaries plus the Citadel, where you can find 100% very in-depth knowledge about Bitcoin in the Citadel, but you get free access from that. So I would say that's where I would start. Join the visionaries community. You get access to the Citadel, and you're going to learn about all that stuff. Self-custody is a major focus of both visionaries and Citadel. Nostr, everybody has Nostr on there. In fact, anybody who joins a visionary, the first thing you do is you share a bit of an intro about yourself, including your Nostr NPub and your Lightning address. And then stacking zaps, I mean, good ways. Yeah, I mean, there's this. Let me show you something. Let me show you here something real quickly. So this is the Visionaries School page, and you can go in here and you can click the community, which is kind of where all the active discussion happens. People can make posts. It's very similar to like a Twitter or like a community on Facebook, something like that, you know, where people can make posts and people can comment and shit like that. So that's a community. And then you have the classroom here. But I have the 365 Days of Bitcoin course, which is available in the Visionaries. So the 21-day course is kind of like a jam-packed course for people who just kind of want it quick and dirty. And then you have the 365 days of Bitcoin course, which is much more in depth. It takes a lot more time, but there's a wide range of topics in there. And then this is the 88 lessons, which is kind of somewhere between those two. So that's where this series came from. It's kind of a mixture of both of these, but this is all available in the Visionaries. 21 lessons. So this is the book, 21 lessons, read by Guy Swan, and then with some commentary. And then we got some tools that I use there. Oh, look at that. Start 9, cold card, Bitcoin well, kind of like videos with a bit of explanation, a little bit of value in there for people. I try not to make them like an ad. And then all the Visionaries streams, daily shows around here now. First one was yesterday. So that's the Visionaries community. I think that's a really good place for anybody who wants to, improve their mindset, because mindset's the most important part of this whole thing. And that's kind of the focus in there. And then we, network. Kind of the whole point of it is to start building the road, start building a circular economy where you can find people on the same frequency as you. You can start transacting, buying, selling, meeting their contacts, building businesses. And then, of course, it's all kind of built on the Bitcoin foundation. All right, let's keep rolling here. Stocks, I'm down 30% on Strategy shares. I bought the shares of Strategy in a tax-free from capital gains in the UK ISA account. Any advice? Should I just stack sats with new capital? Yeah, don't sell your Strategy. Do not sell your Strategy. But yeah, I mean, you should have been stacking sats with all of it. You should never get into like the Bitcoin treasury companies or Strategy until you have like a really solid stack of Bitcoin, unless you don't want to handle it. Like there's a lot of people out there who will probably die before they actually take self-custody of their Bitcoin. And Strategy is kind of like a good roundabout thing there. But a better way to do it, honestly, is like, and this is for your friends and your family members who want access or exposure to Bitcoin, but don't want like the responsibility of holding it. I would use River. If you're in the US, I would use River for that, because they're the only exchange that I'm aware of anyways that actually shows proof of reserves. So there's this, it's good and bad. It's kind of a double-edged sword, I think, that a lot of YouTubers say, not your keys, not your coins, which is a good lesson. But it's not like the end all be all. And I don't think people who have been in Bitcoin for a week should be taking self-custody of their Bitcoin yet. And so it's okay to leave your Bitcoin on exchange. Like Bitcoin Well doesn't allow for that. So that's kind of why it's like the last exchange that you use. But if you're in the US, you can use River. And if you're in Canada, you can use ShakePay. So I'll put both those links down below too. For anybody who's like brand new to Bitcoin, you don't want to take self-custody yet. Obviously, you want to have a plan in place to like eventually take self-custody so you can actually own the asset. But in the meantime, you don't want to miss out on the price action just because you're scared to hold it. So that's why I suggest River 100%, because they provide proof of reserves, which I think is very important if you don't want to get rugged, as they call it. And ShakePay is not bad. I keep a little bit of Bitcoin on ShakePay because that's kind of what I use as my checking account, essentially, the prepaid. So I'm going to put that link to River. So that's what I would say. Stack sats. And again, don't feel like you need to take self-custody of it right away. Have a plan in place. That's kind of your end goal. But, you can take a couple months, leave it on River for a while. River also has like a really good checking account where you earn like 4% back in sats. I'm a big fan of River. I wish we had River here in Canada. But again, I wouldn't leave my Bitcoin on there anyway, so they wouldn't be that effective for me. I'll share that in all three of these here. All right, what else we got here? Rufus, can I post your live streams open? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, there we go. Shared in Rumble, YouTube, and Nostr. Sin says, Jor, can I pay for my lifetime membership via fiat? I mean, Sin, you could. I'm not going to take that for everybody, but you could. The hell was that? We're buzzing here. What the hell was that? Wait, 155. Okay, we're a little bit behind here, but we'll catch up. Okay. Paulie says, new tech always threatens power and control. The past is very messy. Past is full of messy transitions like this. Yeah. I mean, look at the... we're at a pivotal point where today's conviction will go down in history. 100%, Paulie. 100%. Let me see if I can find this quickly. Nah, shit. I have it somewhere saved. Damn. Anyways, there's a magazine from like I think it was the late 1800s. Wish I could find it. Here it is. Well, it doesn't have all the information on here, but you get the idea. So this was an anti-electricity magazine cover from 1889 when public fear over electricity was on the rise. So you can see here, they don't have the name of the magazine. I think it cost like 2 cents for this magazine back in 1889, back when money was real. But this is kind of like what they were selling people on electricity. And it was the same with automobiles. Like anybody who was, deep into the horse and buggy industry, obviously they didn't want to see the automotive come along. Just like today with banks, financial advisors, anybody who's a middleman, anybody who's sucking value for adding no value is scared of Bitcoin. And so this is kind of like the 1889 version of exactly what's happening today with Bitcoin. Same kind of thing. Jobs today have a look busy, look productive culture instead of take your time and create something of quality. 100%. 100%. Oh, Darwin says, I meant take a loan to pay in 96 months to buy Bitcoin. 100%. 96 months? No brainer, man. What is that even? 96 months. Got to be 8 years? 8 years. Hell yeah. Anything over like 4 years, I would say, is a no-brainer for if you can get access to capital to buy Bitcoin. Anything with like a fixed 4-year, no-brainer. Rodriguez, thanks for the show. Well, we're not done quite yet, but you're welcome. Hey, Alexander's here. Good morning. Or good afternoon, I mean. Not helpful, but I use Bitcoin well, but not tried the swap feature. Oh, okay. No problem. I want to stack zaps. Me too. I'm always stacking zaps. Sharon B. Look at this. Sharon B. Sent $2 in. Thank you, Sharon. Your thoughts on Speed Wallet? Good question. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. So, Speed. How can I say this? The Speed Wallet was one that I had recommended. I even had a video that was probably one of my more popular videos where I was talking about the importance of securing your Lightning address, very similar to how people use email addresses nowadays. I foresee that Lightning addresses will be used in the same kind of manner, except instead of sending communication back and forth, it'll be sending money back and forth. And so I kind of explained the importance of claiming yours, just like when you went to get an email address lately and they're all claimed. The same thing's happening with Lightning right now. And the wallet that I suggested people use was Speed Wallet. And I've been using it for about 6 months now. I actually really like the user experience on it. I like the functionality of it. It's very easy, and that's what kind of the reason I liked it is because it's very easy to for somebody to download, claim a Lightning address, and start using it like in seconds. But there's been a couple things lately where I just kind of stopped using it. And the first reason is because they're trying to KYC people. They're trying to ask people for their identification to use their Lightning wallet. And you do have to put in an email address, but you can always get like a private email address or like spin up a brand new one that you can use with it. But they've started to ask people to upload like their IDs or passports and stuff like that. And it's just like, there's no reason for it. I hate the fact that we've kind of normalized KYC in terms of buying and selling Bitcoin. But when you have to start putting that information in to use a Lightning wallet, that's where I draw the line. The second part was I've been using a VPN on my phone, just kind of trying it out for different things. And I noticed after a couple days, I couldn't log into my Speed wallet. It just wouldn't let me in. It kept saying, come back later. And finally, I was like, almost put it in on Nostr to say, like, has anybody else had issues with Speed? Like, I can't access my sats. And then I realized that it's because I had my VPN on that they wouldn't let me transact with my Bitcoin. And so the KYC aspect of it, the fact that because that would have to be something that they set up behind the scenes of the app. Whereas if somebody's trying to access their funds using a VPN, we want to block that. So it just kind of goes against everything that Bitcoin ethos to me represents. And Speed seems to be on the wrong side of that right now. And, if Speed was the only option, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and use it. But there's other options out there. Like I use Rizful. That's what this Lightning address is here, Jor at Rizful. My main issue with Rizful is that their scanner on their phone is kind of shitty, but there's workarounds for that. And Rizful has a big account on Nostr. It seems like they're on the right side of things that I align with anyways. So there's Rizful, there's CoinOS, there's Wallet of Satoshi. I'd say using any of those three ahead of Speed would be my advice. So I'm just like, there's enough options out there. I don't need to use Speed. So that's kind of where I was going with that, Sharon. Hopefully that makes sense. Robert says, hey, George, do you think it's reasonable to get a Bitcoin backed loan at this time? Calgary Beer still here too. Hey, Robert, do you think it's reasonable? Absolutely. Why wouldn't it be? I don't think the main thing that people need to be concerned with is like the price of Bitcoin when they're trying to get a loan. I would say you need to think about, number one, the term of the loan. We just kind of talked about there. I'd say get at least 4 years of a term. The rates, if you're paying credit card rates on there, it doesn't really make too much sense. You're going to just basically kill yourself with interest. And the third one is like knowing how to manage it, knowing what LTV is and how to make it go up and make it go down, more importantly. And so you just have to kind of pay very close attention to it. You won't ever lose your Bitcoin if you're paying attention to it, no matter what price you got it at. And if you're using something like a Bitcoin back loan, assuming to buy more Bitcoin, it's just something that you have to pay very close attention to. So don't be concerned with the prices. I still think we have a very long ways to go in the exchange rate and how many dollars it's going to take to get one Bitcoin. In a year from now, I think we have a long ways to go. But that shouldn't be your factors there. It should be the term, like the length of the loan, the rate, and your ability to manage it. I'm starting to build a self-custody stack. Nice. Good for you. You're welcome. Sometimes afraid of losing the Bitcoin in a boating accident. It's not bad. It's not the end of the world if you do. I lost mine several times in numerous accidents. So I'm still kind of trying to claw my way back into what I had, but I'll get there eventually. Nasburn or what was his name? Bitmain or her name? But that's it. What did you mean by this? Can I post your live streams open? Bitamin. I want to say Bitmain, but Bitamin. I'm glad to meet you in your class here. I will stack real money and share your wonderful lessons to join. And I'd like to join Nostr and Primal and Bitcoin well. Nice. Yeah, I'll have, you know what? I'll actually just share the link in here for school. But one thing I would say, if anybody is wanting to join the school community that we have, the visionaries, don't put your real name in there. Don't put your real name. School's going to try to force you into putting in your full government name in there, but you don't have to. Like my name on there is Jor Sats, and I am thriving on there. So they're going to try to trick you into putting in your full name. But if you are signing up for the school, you don't have to put in your full name in there. Let me add a banner for that, actually. Join the Visionaries community. What was it? School.com, I think /88 sats. There it is. And it's one of those things, man, like we're moving into a different world. We're kind of already there. A lot of people are kind of already there. And that world doesn't have a middleman. That's, the people who have been sucking value out of society for decades, centuries even. What do? They extract value without providing any value. That's middlemen for the most part. Some of them are a little bit valuable. Most of them aren't. But one thing that they do is they kind of provide a barrier of trust where they keep both sides honest. And the world that we're moving into here and the roads that we're trying to build, the economy that we're trying to build here does not have a middleman. That's what Bitcoin is. It's peer-to-peer. And so what you need to do is not only add a bunch of value to the world, store that value in Bitcoin, but you also have to start meeting other Bitcoiners that you can transact with. And you have to start paying very close attention to your reputation. Not something we learned in school, not something that we were ever taught in our job conferences or job whatever. What's it called? PD, professional development. But it is, if you're wanting to live in a Bitcoin world on a Bitcoin standard, on that frequency, you have to put in the time. You cannot buy reputation. You cannot buy people's trust. You cannot buy integrity. This is all stuff that you have to earn. And the only way to earn that is by putting in time. And so I would say if you are interested in joining a community within Bitcoin, so you can, again, be on the same frequency as other Bitcoiners or other people and start growing your own network, start today. Like, don't wait, because the longer you wait, the more time you miss out on meeting people, earning people's trust, growing your reputation. Because when the middleman's gone, you're going to need people to trust and people to transact with and people to interact with. And that's why these communities are so powerful. So yeah, consider if you're not a member in there already. And it's $8 a month right now. It's going up to $21 when we officially launch the community in 2 days from now. But it's $8 a month. And it was just kind of to let people who came from living in the future in at a better rate. But I completely forgot that it's that. So if you are wanting to join other than just the time aspect of it, you're going to save about 65%. So, oops. Totally forgot about that. So the official launch for that is on Friday, October 31st. Shout out to Satoshi and the white paper. Ever bought solo Satoshi with Bitcoin invoices? It is so cool and fast. I left that thinking, wow, this is really the future. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Instead of having to go through, put in all your credit card information, all that bullshit, you just scan a QR code and put in your address. Done. Igor, I took a loan against my 401k in 22 and I pay myself back. Interest is also paid back to myself. If you're in the US, it is a no-brainer. I will have the loan paid off in 2026 and will rinse and repeat. Legend. Igor, legend. Thinking of getting a lead loan, but cautious hearing about the Bitcoin core software issues. Lending pretty heavy on the KYC. Well, of course they are. They have to be, right? Okay, what's going on here with these freaking... Everybody go out and buy some ALX 2049 tokens today. Shut these people up. I can't even block this guy. Oh, yeah, I can. Ban. Anyway, Suzanne Brooks, you're not going to shit on our parade today. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. This went 40 minutes longer than I had expected today, but that's not a surprise if you're somebody who watches the show regularly here. So again, we don't have any sponsors. Zero. And it is my promise to you that we never will have sponsors. We're going to show up here on YouTube every Tuesday. We're going to show up on Rumble and Noster every morning. So I hope you join us. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes below if you're interested in anything I talked about today, including Noster, ShakePay, River, School, Rumble. All that stuff is going to be in the pinned comments right after the show. And if you're watching this later, say hi. And if you enjoyed this, if you want more of these, we're going to do them anyways. So I don't really care, but I would appreciate, I'm trying to get back on YouTube's good side. Spent a lot of time in YouTube prison, but I can kind of see the light. So that's what I got for you today. I very much appreciate everybody showing up here again. Same time next week, we're going to do it. You can share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers, anybody who's asking you about Bitcoin. You can direct them to the channel. I'm going to have a brand new playlist called 88 Lessons. And I'm going to take out the first part and I'm going to clip it in there for everybody. So that's what I got. If you do want to see more, if you enjoy what we're doing, you want to support the channel, this is the best way to do it. I don't really give a shit about likes, truthfully. Just an illusion, fiat mindset. But you can send real value if you want to. And that does mean a lot to me. So thank you, everybody who did send in some sats today. Hey, Forrest is here. Forrest, my man. Zap 21 sats. Thank you, Forrest. And that's what I got for you today. So if you have questions, if you want to sign up for the visionaries there, all the links are going to be below. And what was the last thing I wanted to say? I don't know. Oh, I missed a zap here. Bitcoiner Talk sent in. I always miss the lives because of the time difference, but Prime will notify me of this live. Nice. Well, Bitcoiner Talk, my friend, you're in luck. We're going to have the same time every week going forward. So yes, hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for watching. We'll be back here next week for lesson number 2, the continuation. And we got 87 more of these. So here we go. And we're going to maybe see Arnie boy show up here if we're lucky. You can always tell when I'm winding down. I guess my voice kind of gets quieter. There he is. Arnie came to say goodbye. So thanks, everybody. Thank you very much for the support. And we'll be back here next week. So that's it. Say thanks for the zaps, buddy. You got a big one today. Thank you to whoever did that. That was the biggest zap of the day. So thank you from Arnie and I. Have yourselves a great day. We'll see you next week, or we'll see you tomorrow on Rumble/Noster. Bye-bye.